Echo 5, do you copy? Echo 5.
Echo 2, good morning. Nice of you to drop by.
Feeling alright, sir? Thought we lost you.
Right now, I feel like I can take on this whole podcast myself.
I know what you mean. Ready to send that transmission to Echo Base?
Yes, sir. R10, patch through.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Hoth Transmissions. This is Echo 2.
And this is Echo 5.
Alright guys, so as you've been following along with us, we've been going through Season 1. Before we jump into Chapter 4, we're just going to discuss a little bit of the news that's been popping around the internet. As you guys know, May 4th is going to be the release of The Bad Batch.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited for it. So we're going to go back to our weekly episodes for the duration of that series. So lots of stuff to look forward to.
I'm excited because it's like so Clone Wars and Rebels are the big animated Star Wars series we have. It's nice to see, like in a sense, like sequels. Rebels, we're hearing the Ahsoka series coming out later is going to be sort of the Rebels sequel. Am I correct? That's kind of it's going to continue the story of what happened afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
And Clone Wars, from what I understand, it's sort of like Bad Batch is pretty much going to be the aftermath of the Clone Wars through that Clone Wars style animation, and it'll just be really cool to hopefully follow some of these characters from the Clone Wars, like Cody or maybe even Rex could show up. I think it would be a lot of fun to see the rise of the Empire through their eyes in an animated style. I think it'll be a lot of fun. The closer we're getting to it, the more excited I'm getting for it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm actually pretty excited because I wonder if they're going to delve into the whole aspect of Gregor and Wolf and how they met up with Rex at some point.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because they find him in Rebels together.
Yeah, and with really no like explanation. It's just like was it 3 or 4 of them? It's Gregor, Wolf, and
Gregor,
Rex.
Yeah, Gregor, Wolf, and Rex. Yeah, it's just the 3 of them.
I was thinking there's 4, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's 3.
It'd be interesting to see if they go on a little arc about that to try and kind of like.
I think that'd be awesome. That would actually be a really cool arc, and I'm sure they'll probably take advantage of that. And you could probably see them maybe get their chips out in the series.
True.
It would be kind of cool to. It would be cool to see Rex have some type of adventure where he has to go back and he's doing something. He has to go back to Coruscant for something, or he's doing something and he has to run into his old pals, and they're going to be obviously in kill Jedi Empire mode, like we left off at the end of Clone Wars and in Revenge of the Sith, and then
somehow team up with the Bad Batch and
do
a little story arc.
There's a lot they could do there. I think it'd be cool to see. I mentioned this one of the last episodes. It'd be cool to see Cody's perspective of Order 66, and if he has any feelings towards Obi-Wan at all about what happened, or if he's just going to be completely in the zone and just not care.
I wonder if once the chips are activated, that's just their new mentality from then on.
That's what
out.
That's what you mentioned. Yeah, you mentioned that. I think that's what it is. And we talked about that before, how once it's like a switch that just gets flipped and they just a certain way, it's just the way they are. They don't snap out of it. But there's a lot of possibilities because you also don't see Cody in anything after Revenge of the Sith. So what if what if other clones got their chips out like Cody, for example, and then he actually goes on adventures with them, but disappears for some reason, and he could always show up in a future show that Disney's doing. I know there's just a lot of possibilities.
Oh yeah, there's tons of stuff they can do with it, and that's one of the one thing why we're so excited about the Bad Batch. It's just because there's just so much mystery behind it.
Yeah.
And going forward, it's like because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's a sequel to Clone Wars," but a lot of people are just like, "Oh no, it's season 8," and so it's just continuing on. So I'm wondering how many seasons they're gonna do and how many stories
it would be cool to see Krennic. They could do an animated Krennic. They could do
leading up to the Death Star. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, exactly. I'm obviously excited to see more Tarkin. You might even get that would be you know, it'd be cool to see an appearance of Thrawn in the Clone Wars animated style.
That is true because this is before Rebels, so he would be around at some point. Um, I'm not exactly sure when the comic book takes place when they officially find him, so
And they recruit.
I'll have to look into that. But that'd be actually really cool to see him maybe at earliest stages of his training because
You'll
we get it
see
in the
you'll
comic.
We'll see. You might see. You'll probably see Admiral Yularen's transformation too, from his kind of Clone Wars uh, leadership to Empire leadership.
Oh, absolutely. I'm counting on that one.
Which is funny because I was watching Rebels. I think it was like last month. I rewatched the whole Rebel series. I just finished it, and I didn't notice. I saw Yularen. He was in one of the meetings with Thrawn. This is in season 4, and I'm like, man, that name sounds so familiar. So then I googled it, and I forgot all about. I was like, this is the guy from Clone Wars. This is Anakin. This is the main general in the Clone Wars. And then I forgot he's the guy in A New Hope when they're having that
Hmm.
council, the first Death Star. And I just thought it was funny. I didn't connect that before, but I was excited.
Yeah,
It was awesome. It was awesome, and it was sad. It was sad because I was like, man, this guy was a good guy. But
he was, and he just kind of. I feel he's kind of like one of those people. He just goes with whoever's the winner at the point.
well,
It's a
and a
survival
lot of
instinct.
I think a lot of those, of course, Tarkin and others, a lot of those um,
Oh, Tarkin
command.
was just a complete baddie.
Well, he was, but a lot of those commanders, a lot of the commanders from the Clone Wars, basically kind of just transferred over to the Empire, the
Hmm.
the best ones, and so that'll be kind of fun to see too. Um, so you might even see Admiral Mahdi.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm really curious of how many familiar faces we'll see from the original trilogy. If they're gonna give him any like kind of honorable mentions or cameos or anything like that. If
No,
they even have
there's
enough time. But I know
yeah, we'll
I'm
see. We'll
expecting a
see.
few at least.
A lot of potential there, man.
And speaking of a lot of potential,
Mm.
uh, we're getting a little bit more news of Rangers of the New Republic. Well, I wouldn't really say news. It's kind of just like rumors with the whole Cardoon getting fired or
Yeah.
taken off from Mandalorian. So it's
Does
just
that
kind of
mean she'll get
unfortunate.
taken off of Rangers, you think?
I would assume so.
Yeah,
Which is kind of unfortunate. I actually really like the character of Cardoon,
I do too.
but due to her controversial social media posts, I don't think we'll be seeing her come back.
Sure.
But
Unfortunate, man.
yeah, but there is rumors that Harrison Dula actually might be taking her place. And
Ooh.
as much as I'm sad about Cardoon leaving, I actually would love to see Hera. Uh,
That would be awesome. Do you think that what's the I forget the name of the voice actor that plays her, but if she played her,
Vanessa Marshall.
Vanessa Marshall. That would be so cool if she played her. That would be awesome. I,
That'd actually
I
be really cool. Do a whole Katie Sackhoff transition.
exactly. It's so much fun seeing the animated characters become real characters and just kind of seeing which ones look the best when you see them as real life characters.
Yeah, I mean, it is still in rumor territory, and if you kind of keep up with the books and all the canon following Hera during like this whole thing, like during the whole original trilogy, she was with the Alphabet Squadron, and one of her main tasks was hunting down a shadow. I think something called a Shadow Wing, and
Hmm.
that led all the way up to the Battle of Jakku. And
Okay.
so at this point, I'm sure.
It's all right after Battle of Endor stuff.
Yeah, and throughout the books, it kind of talks a lot about how she's just kind of having like a bunch of war fatigue just because she's been in it so long. And
Mm.
so I'm kind of hesitant to say that she'll actually be part of Rangers of the New Republic only because she's got Jason. I think a lot of people forgot that she had a kid.
Hmm. Oh, that's
And
right. Jeez. Yeah, yeah, totally.
so
And
now
they
that they
kind of
finally
they
got the Empire down,
yeah.
she's kind of in a semblance of a normal life. So I'm sure she's
Man,
not
I forgot
too
all about
eager
that
to
character.
jump into another mission.
That's right. That's right. Jason Sindula. That's more than likely a force sensitive being. Just because
Yeah,
not just because of who he is and genetics, because we've talked, we've kind of had fun talks before about whether or not the Force is hereditary, and but of Star Wars Rebels when Sabine Wren is talking about the aftermath of the Rebels group, and you see Jason Sindula, she mentions specifically, she says, "Well, you know who his father was," and
Yeah,
it made it seem the way she said it. It made it seem like she was kind of hinting at this guy's got the Force, just
yeah.
the way she said it. I
Like he
wouldn't
was
have just
canon.
yeah. So I'm just not assuming just because it's his son, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But
So I'm curious if we're gonna get a spin-off of Jason at some point. I mean, because it'd be kind of interesting. Because if say he is force sensitive, does that mean he was part of Luke's training?
I
And
would
another
very
unfortunate
possible.
death,
Yeah,
or
yeah. Who knows, man? I don't know.
but we know how Dave Filoni is with his characters. He always comes up with some reason why they're able to outmaneuver the Empire, like Ahsoka taking away from leaving the Jedi Temple and right before Order 66,
Yeah,
and then how she's able to survive it because Captain Rex kind of hesitates a little bit, like he's not fully controlled,
yeah,
and not to mention Maul being there to kind of cause a little bit of chaos and destruction.
yeah,
And keeping Ezra alive by throwing him and Thrawn off into some unknown. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they do something similar with Jason Sindola.
yeah. That'd be cool. A lot of potential there.
Yeah, if anything, I actually would like to see a comic book series, or maybe even just a novelization with some of his adventures.
Yeah.
Maybe the adventures of Jason Sindola and Grogu.
Man, there's a lot they can do, man. A lot of
Oh yeah,
potential. So, all right, man.
but
That's awesome. A lot to look forward to.
yeah. So we'll keep you guys updated with all the news and rumors as they come out. Um, so now we're going to get into the meat of the discussion. So we're going to jump into chapter 4. This one was called Sanctuary, and so this one is basically just a little recap of the last episode. Mando rescued the child from the client, and so now he's on the run. He's got the guild after him. He's got the empire, the remnant empire after him, and so he's kind of looking to lay low for a little while. And so he kind of goes on to this planet, uh, Sorgan, and he called it a real backwater suckhole.
Hmm.
So jumping into this episode, what did you think of it when you first saw it?
So things I like, things I didn't like. I liked how it continued Mando's sort of like human arc. You got to really know him better. Things kind of calmed down because the first three episodes were just all about his bounty and him figuring out what to do, and then it's just action, boom, boom, bang, getting the kid, we're getting out of here. I'm leaving the guild, and this just really kind of slowed things down. So you're really able to get to know him, and that's one thing I really enjoyed about it. And it was also something I didn't enjoy because I got used to that boom, boom, bang stuff from the first three episodes. So I had to kind of like it just kind of slowed everything down and kind of gave us a little bit of a rest, kind of calm down. But at the same time, I got used to that, so I was all excited. I liked all the adrenaline, especially from episode 3. There was just this awesome peak in the show at that point. Um, but I did appreciate the development in this episode, how you just really focused on him and um, just who he was, just so many things to learn that we'll talk about in this discussion. But just a little bit more about his background and how long this guy's had this freaking mask on his face, and his relationship with the Mandalorians, and how he's actually a helpful person. He doesn't think about himself. He's a very
I mean, there is a point where he is just thinking about him. I think the whole is one of the funny things. The things about him in this episode is it does a thing where he's like focusing on himself,
mm-hmm.
because we learned that we have this little village that's just being raided by these Clotonians,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so they can't really defend themselves.
Queen.
And so, but they see his ship fly down onto the planet, and they're like, okay, maybe this is our hope. They travel half a day or something like that to meet with him, and they're like, hey, we need your help. He's like, nope, it's not enough. They're like, oh, you don't even know what we're asking. He's like, but I can tell it's not enough. And so he goes in the thing, and then you kind of hear them
Oh yeah.
talking, and they're like, man, we're just out in the middle of nowhere. We're not gonna be
We
able to
took all
defend
night to
ourselves.
get here and ask you for help.
Yeah, and then once he said middle of nowhere, Mando's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait, where'd you say your village was? Because he saw
Yeah.
it as an opportunity for him to kind of hide out. And so,
Yeah.
granted, he's kind of slowly developing into a uh, a character that focuses on other people. But I think from the 2 seasons that we've
So
seen
you
so
think
far,
I feel like Grogu kind of just was that bridge for him to not be so selfish. Like it seems like once like in this episode, it just seems like he's thinking about these villagers. He actually seems like he wants to help them. Um, he has sympathy, and it's
yeah,
not
I think he does have a little sympathy, but it's kind of like it's not my problem, so I'm not gonna deal with
well
it. But
I meant where the episode ends up going. My bad. I'm jumping the gun here. Where
oh yeah, yeah,
it takes his character to a point where he thinks he has empathy and he thinks about other people and he actually and then you kind of see it later in the series. Like this guy's he's a hero. You know, he's going from a selfish bounty hunter thinking about himself and making the big bucks to actually worrying about other people and making a difference. And you know, um,
he transfers
oh
from being a bounty hunter to more of kind of like a mercenary.
yeah,
And I'm kind of actually curious to see what they do with his character later on because now that I think about it, a lot of his actions are based off of Grogu.
mm.
And so now that Grogu's out of the picture
He's
at the end of season
he's
2,
never had a kid before. He's more like a father, and also he was and I think one thing that connects him with that is he was a foundling.
yeah,
The Mandalorians found him when he was a child, and they helped him when he, you know, his parents were killed. He didn't have anybody, and he probably sees something in Grogu that he's alone and doesn't have anyone, and maybe
yeah,
he,
and that's what I'm kind of thinking is like now that Grogu's out of the picture in season 2, I wonder if he's going to kind of revert back to his original character.
he's more lethal.
Hmm.
Mm.
Now that he kind of doesn't have that liability anymore, he
Actually,
might just go
it
back
might be
to.
pretty badass actually.
Yeah, I mean he is tied to the future Mandalore at this point, so
Yeah,
but it's really intriguing just to see how his character developed in this one.
it's kind of cool. So the Klatooinians, or the
Clatoonians,
Klatooinians, Klatoon. So it's like Tatooine, but it's like Klatooine. The
Clatoonian, yeah,
yeah, Klatooine. It's interesting because that planet reminded me of um of the water planet on in season 2, where it was a planet that was similar to Mount Calamari. This I'm talking season 2 right now, episode 3, where they had the Quarren and the Mon Cala
okay,
on
yeah,
on a planet. It's got these Mon Cala species on this planet, or on Sorgan, um, where we're at right now in episode 4, season 1. They had the Klatooine
Clatoonian,
species, the Klatoonian species, and they have these little frogs. Well, in Jabba's palace, that little frog, the little frogs that he has in his little dish, are from Klatooine. So I just thought it was interesting. It's like they got all the species from this. They got species from this planet, but they put them on this Sorgan planet. I just thought it was interesting that they, um, you know, they
yeah. I
have
think it's
like
cool because they're kind of showing that
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
the they're kind of like diversifying everything again. Like
Yeah,
it's like they're from this planet, but they do settle on other places. Kind of like how we look at the Iridonians. Like they're on
yeah,
Dathomir, but they're also from Iridonian or the
exactly.
Zebraks. Yeah, the Zebraks.
The Zabraks, yeah, and they even had you got Jawas on Tatooine, but then you have Jawas on Arvala 7 on
Hmm.
season 1 as well, on the
Yeah,
desert
exactly.
planet, episode 1 and on episode 1 and 2. So
Yeah,
actually and 3, but yeah, no, I think that's kind of cool. You see these species that we know from these planets, and we think that they're only a part of this planet, but they kind of occupy other planets in the galaxy. And that's kind of something we haven't seen before. Usually, we just see only um, Kaminoans on Kamino, or only Geonosians on Geonosis, and so forth. So it's kind of see
yeah,
that these other species can actually occupy other planets that work for their environment, and it's just kind of fun.
yeah. which is really intriguing, especially like on a backwater place like this. Um, so of course you're gonna see humans everywhere too, so that's it's kind of interesting. I would like them to kind of like focus on maybe like a alien civilization and that Mando kind of goes into because kind of like similar to what was it, one of the Clone Wars episodes where it was what I think it was Anakin, Obi-Wan, and they team up with a group of bounty hunters to go against what's it, Hondo, the attack
Mm-hmm.
on the village. And so that's kind of what this episode kind of mainly reminded me of, as far as like the
Oh
whole
yeah,
atmosphere. I forget
yeah,
what episode that is, but I know everybody's seen that one.
yeah. That's one we'll cover in the future. That'll be
Oh
fun.
yeah, absolutely,
Arc. I can't wait to do the Clone Wars arcs. I love Clone Wars, man. I miss it. I haven't seen it in a while, but
true.
I
I
just
also
binge
liked what they did
watch.
with the child in this one. Am I the? I'm pretty sure that I was the only one that kind of noticed he had very Yoda like mannerisms.
Hmm.
Because like when Luke first meets Yoda on Dagobah, you have Yoda messing around with R2 and picks up the food. R2 tries to take the flashlight back, and they sit there and argue and fight with it.
Mm-hmm.
Grogu kind of had that same like little mentality. Like he was sitting there flipping switches, and Mando's kind of getting annoyed. He's like, "Stop touching things." And then
yeah,
Grogu's just kind of looking at him, just messing with him. It's like, "Doop."
yeah.
And so it kind of reminded me of Yoda a little bit. I thought it was just comedy.
Mudhole, slimy. My home. This is. With the stick. Yeah, that was good.
But it was kind of cool to kind of see like Mando's whole plan. Like he's got Grogu now, and they come to this little planet, and he's not looking just for like a little rest stop. He's actually looking to hide out for a few months.
He wants to, and he even kind of wants to settle down. It's kind of a nice play. It's actually really there's some really good shots
Oh
in this.
yeah, absolutely.
It's
And
actually
I
a pretty.
know. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I know a lot of people had like complaints when they first saw this episode because
Mm.
like, oh, there's no story development. This just
There's
seems like
actually
kind
there's
of
a
like
lot to
a
like in this one, man.
yeah, and like this is just kind of like just a filler episode. And this is where I was kind of like thinking, it's like, okay, well, I mean, you got um like you were mentioning the first few episodes were like bam, bam, bam,
Hmm.
and then you got this next one, which just kind of slows down a little bit. And I think that's where most of the complaints happened
Yeah.
because we're
Well,
looking at more
that's what I was saying.
development
I was like,
here.
that was my complaint originally, but going back to the episode, and then I was like, well, it's also it's a good thing too because it's time for them to develop the character to
It's
really kind of
yeah.
just focus on him.
I mean, you even got to think about it. It's like you're a bounty hunter. You just pretty much piss off your guild that you work for. That's
Yeah,
basically paying you. Not to
you're now
mention
a
the client
high
wants this
value
valuable
target.
item. Yeah. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna try and find a place to hide out.
Mm-hmm.
And
Makes
it's just
sense.
kind of funny that he kind of like has this idea that he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stay here for a couple months, just kind of hide out, just let things kind of cool down.
Hmm.
And then as we see later on in that episode, he realizes that's not even a possible option.
Right. Yeah. No matter where they go, someone's still tracking Grogu because he's a high value target. He's a high value asset, and
Hmm.
now Mando's a high value target because of the asset. So it doesn't matter. He's going to have to find a way to resolve this issue that he's got.
Hmm.
Otherwise they're never going to be able to truly settle down, which is too bad because that would have been a good place. And they had the villagers that he made friends with were actually they were good people that could have been good mentors and good helpers for Grogu because he wanted to leave him there and thought that it'd be a good place for him. Then he could take off and Grogu would be safe there and he could go do his thing and everything would be good. But we find that's not
But
the
you
case.
even gotta, but you even gotta think about it. Like you've got this force sensitive kid. Mando has no idea what to do with him
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah, yeah.
You end up leaving this force sensitive kid on a planet with a village of people who probably have no idea what the force is at this point.
Yeah.
And so I can only imagine that kind of entail a little bit of kind of chaos and danger.
Hmm.
Just because you got Grogu who's just like, oh, I can use the force, I can move this, I can do this, and as he grows older, doesn't get really trained and very confused with his abilities.
Hmm.
So I don't think that would have ever been a possible option. Maybe like a temporary solution, but I think something
No, yeah,
bigger
it
would have
wouldn't have
happened.
worked regardless.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, and of course, it's an opportunity for us to expand the cast, expand our ensemble of Mandalorian characters. We get to meet Cara Dune, our ex shock trooper for the rebellion. It was kind of it was kind of fun to see her little story, how she started off as fighting for the rebellion, and how things just kind of slowed down after the Empire went down, and she just kind of she's like, all right, I'm not. This isn't what I signed up for. They're just doing little security jobs and whatnot, and she's just like, all right, I'm out of here, and she went and settled down on Sorgan, and then she's like, all right, there's only room enough for one of us. So he's like, all right, man. Well, he's like, all right, kid, this planet's taken. Let's move on, but
Basically, it's like only one of us is gonna occupy this place. So
yeah,
I was here first, so get out of here.
yeah, I was here first. Scram. Yeah, I like their little fight when he first meets her, when he goes outside, he's kind of walking around, you get to see his little he's using his little tracking, you see the foot tracks.
Yeah, because he looked suspicious when he first got there, and so
Yeah.
he's like, "Okay, something's different about this person."
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he was right to a degree, but no threat to him immediately.
Yeah.
And I really liked the character of Cardoon when they introduced her. I actually thought she was going to be sticking around a little bit longer than a couple episodes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. She's not really. Well, she shows up a lot more seasons too, but in this season, she's only. Well, no, actually, I guess she's in 3 episodes. She shows up again in 7 and 8.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah.
and even in season 2, I think she kind of has like a similar amount of screen time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, I mean, that'll kind of make it easy for when they jump into season 3. I mean, they can just mention that maybe she just went to Sorgan to settle down or something. I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
they're
they
gonna
don't
have a good.
necessarily have to kill her off.
Yeah, like what is it like? They always make fun of in the Rise of Skywalker. They're like, well, somehow Cara Dune died. We'll just
Basically.
move on. But I noticed that they always bring her in episode 4 of the seasons because she actually shows up in episode 4 of season 2 as well. Cara Dune.
Yeah, that's right. She does.
Yeah.
I also like something else they brought into it was the loft cat.
Oh,
Because
that's right. Yeah.
you got the child just kind of just walking and he just kind of like looking at everything, and then you see a loft cat that just kind of like hisses at him, and he just like falls over and gets scared. I
Yeah.
thought that was actually pretty funny.
They do a Lothcat cameo in one episode of each of the seasons because they have the Lothcat show up on Corvus on the 5th episode in season 2. You see
That's right. Yeah, he's one of like the feral loft cats, and uh as Ahsoka is trying to figure out where Thrawn is.
again. There's another creature um, native to Lothal that they're using in other planets.
Hmm.
So it's kind of
Which I think is really cool. Is that they're
yeah.
really taking like new and old stuff and kind of just mixing it in, and
Oh
not
yeah,
just like
I love it.
leaving it. Yeah.
That's actually one thing that was one of my complaints in the sequel trilogy. It was just kind of a funny complaint, but I just felt like everything was just like new and not familiar. Where I didn't see it. There's like barely any species, if not at all, from the prequels or the originals. They just kept creating new species and all new planets, and to where it was almost unrecognizably Star Wars. And I mean, it's Star Wars, but what I'm getting at is when you go to the prequels, they had a really good mix of species from the originals. You saw Wookiees, you saw Quarren, you'd see Jawas. They'd have these different characters mixed in there, but then they'd bring up new characters like characters from Malastare or Zabrak like Darth Maul
Hmm.
or Jar Jar Binks, the Gungans. There's new characters. They'd mix them and they'd have familiar planets like Tatooine, and then they'd have new planets like Naboo and Coruscant, and it was just or Mustafar, and it's always fun to see the new stuff. But we all like the old stuff because it kind of lets us know that we're in this same world and or in the same universe. And the Mandalorian does that perfectly. They have a mix of all of them. They even have sequel trilogy um, characters like Abednadu, and they have original characters and or species and prequel species. They like mix all of them. It's really cool, and they have all new planets along with some familiar ones. So it's like it's the perfect blend. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but
I wonder if we'll, sorry, totally random, but I wonder if we'll see any planets in the like the next season maybe of planets we've seen in the movies, if we'll return to any of them, like Endor or I don't know, even Coruscant or something, or Mustafar or
yeah,
Kashyyyk. It
it
would
would
be
be
cool.
kind of interesting to see how Coruscant is at this point in the story,
Hmm.
because we see a prequel era, and you don't really get to see it in the original trilogy, and and how it's being organized, or if it's still as vibrant with people. Well, I
Hmm.
guess we do see Coruscant at the end of the special edition Return of the Jedi, but
Yeah, but that was added later.
yeah,
But
it'd just
I
be
know
kind of cool.
wasn't Coruscant was actually wasn't that first in the Timothy Zahn trilogy, and then they ended up bringing it to Lucas brought it to life in Phantom Menace.
He did, yes. It was part of Legends, and Lucas liked it and took it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which is probably a really nice tribute. Like if I was the writer of that, I'd be stoked. I'd be like, hey, something
Do,
survived from the Legends books.
do you think they'll ever bring in any other Legends characters into canon?
I think they will. I mean, they kind of already brought characters in similar to characters that were in Legends.
Obviously like Grand Admiral Thrawn was a fun one.
Yeah, Kanan is kind of a mix of what's his face from The Force Unleashed.
Oh, you're thinking of I almost said Orska Both, the guy from um the Timothy Zahn trilogy from Heir of the Empire, but I'm thinking of Ron Coda.
Ron Coda, yeah.
Yeah.
Rom Coda, yeah.
Rom Coda.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So Kanan's kind of similar to him with
Yeah,
the
I
blindness
oh
and
yeah, totally.
like certain characteristics. And so,
I forget the name of the droid on Force Unleashed, but K2SO kind of reminded me of the droid from the game too.
oh yeah, that's right. That's what it was comedy. It was always trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling that they will. I mean, because they use a lot of stuff. Dave Filoni likes to pull stuff from Legends,
Hmm.
and they've even done it in the movies. You won't get like the exact copy of the character or story, but they'll use elements of it and kind of like keep it going. Like I know right now they're working on, I think it might be a remake of Knights of the Republic, and so we might get Revan as canon.
Oh
And
man,
I know a lot of fans love Revan, so it'd be
there.
really cool to kind of see him pulled into it.
It's probably a way long shot. It would be really cool. I still think it'd be really cool to bring Mary Jade in somehow.
Oh, absolutely. Mary Jade was one of my favorite characters from her and Kyle Katarn.
Cal Katarn, yeah.
Kyle Katarn was always a favorite of mine, just
And
because I really love the Dark Knight series.
yeah, I hope sometime they find an opportunity for that.
I think they will at some point.
Yeah.
But right now
Well,
they're just
Let's say Disney's definitely pro. You know, they definitely like uh, using a lot of females in the spotlight, and I figure come on, Mary Jade's a great character to bring out. So
yeah, arguably just as strong-willed as Leia,
yeah,
just in a different way.
yeah. Oh
So
man.
that'd actually really be cool to see her. And I think maybe that's kind of what they did with Dr. Aphra. Not
Hmm.
like because she was kind of like Vader's hand,
Hmm.
or Mary Jade was Vader's hand, and Dr. Aphra's kind of doing the similar thing, but she's kind of more of like archaeologist. I could be wrong, but she does remind me a little similarities of her without the loyalty and without the force abilities.
You know, I just had this thought, and I just have to get out there. Someone had a post showing Kate Blanchett playing Governor Price
Oh,
from
that'd be sick.
Rebels, and I was like, I couldn't. I don't know why I didn't think about it before, but that's like the perfect uh, actress to play that character. I was just like, I saw, I was like, man, that's literally Governor Price brought to life. That's amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah, if they did Kate Blanchett as Governor Price, that would actually be pretty sick.
Yeah, no, that would work. I think it's just because it she looks like the character from Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of
Yeah,
the Crystal Skull, the character that Kate Blanchett played. Um, that she looks like Governor Price.
true,
So I
very
think
true,
I think that's why people were using that picture on Instagram that was getting thrown around. That's pretty clever.
very true, very true. Um, so let's jump back
So
into
back
the
to
meat of
Oregon.
this. Yeah, back to Oregon. Sorry, we just got off on a little rant of just
Yeah,
some cool thoughts
a
that we had.
digression there, but yeah,
Yeah. Um, so what'd you think of Omera?
Olmera.
Yeah, that was the lady that took an interest in Mando when they got
Oh
there.
my gosh, oh my gosh. Um, his love interest, man, she was perfect for him. She was perfect. In fact, even if he had taken off the helmet, I think they actually would have made a perfect couple. Knowing what he looks like, what she looks like, they'd be a nice couple, man.
True, very true.
And she
I
well,
want.
she definitely. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that'd be kind of like a cool thing. Like after he takes over Mandalore, just comes back, picks her up, and the kid.
Yeah, yeah. That I hope that she makes an appearance in a future season because I think she'd be the perfect love interest for him. She has that. She would have been a good mother for Grogu, except for the fact that you brought up all that Force stuff that might have um, been a little interesting
Yeah,
thrown in
something
there.
that she
But
wouldn't have been able to deal with
but
properly.
she definitely had that good motherly like character to her, and I think that's something that Mando also liked in her. And she was also strong. Like when they were training to shoot the guns, to shoot the blasters,
Oh, she was
uh,
like yelling, and that
where
she's
she,
like, "Go, go, go!"
where she was the
Like,
only one that knew how to shoot because he had everybody raise their hands. He said, "All right, who's used a blaster before?" And she's the only one that
oh,
raised her hand.
that's true. I'm not sure if I caught them explaining how she knew.
I don't know that they did, but I just remember she kind of like awkwardly raises her hand. She's like, "Oh yeah, I've used a blaster before. I know how to use them." And then when they were shooting, like he was watching, she was like hitting the target. Like she's had experience before somehow. So what I mean, we don't know her background. They could actually establish her background. What if she was like I want to see Mandalorian that left, and maybe that's why she fancied him in a way, or took pity on him because of the way his beliefs are, or if she had some type of she was a mercenary, or she could have had some type of background and come and laid low on that planet herself. We don't know because
That
the
is
way the way
true.
she, well, the way she was shooting, the way she was fighting, it seemed like she had some type of experience before. It didn't seem like she was just a simple farmer that's never picked up a gun or a blaster or you
Yeah,
know.
I mean, she could be like Kara, like how you're explaining. Like she could have had some like kind of history with the Rebel Alliance, maybe even
Yeah.
the Empire. She might even be a stormtrooper
Oh,
that once the
there you
Emperor
go.
is done, she's like, I can probably get out of here.
Exactly. That would be a fun.
But
That would be a arc. That'd be cool.
but I mean, she was able to hit a target, so I don't think
Yeah,
stormtrooper would
I
be
think
her thing.
well, let's cross that off the list now.
Yeah,
It would
but
be
I'm sure
really
she had some kind of like history, like with maybe soldier, mercenary, something, and
yeah. No,
she
I'm
then
sure she
she
she had
has
something.
a kid and just kind of just settles down.
Yep. No, I think it would be great to bring her back, and so they're going to do a total of 4 seasons for this show. Isn't that what they're saying right now?
I believe so. Yeah.
So I mean, there's still more to explore. I think it would be really cool if the show ended if he actually finally went to Sorgan and settled down with her, or if she came into the story somehow, and they actually had time to actually fall in love and they were able to settle down and have a family of their own. I think it'd be a really cool ending. Um, I feel like season 3 is going to probably explore more of them taking back Mandalore with the group that he's currently with at the end of season 3.
True.
Building up a force there to fight the Empire's reign of over Mandalore at the time. But I mean, there's a lot more they can do in season 4, and that could be something to explore. I feel like a lot of us have forgotten. Now, going back to season 1, I actually forgot all about that whole arc, and it actually makes for more intriguing story in the future. So, I think it's pretty exciting.
Oh,
I hope they bring her back.
yeah. Or she might have just been a one-time hit just for the whole thing of where he almost took the helmet off, but
Yeah. But that's funny because she asked him. She said, how long has it been since you've taken the helmet off? And he's like, yesterday. And she's like, well, how long has it been since somebody's seen you with your helmet off? And then he's looking out the kids playing outside, and he's like, well, I was their age.
yeah,
And and then
kind
by
of
the end of
sad.
the episode, he just met this girl, and he's about to he almost let her take it off after all those
Yeah,
years. There's something special about her for him. He saw something in her that made him do
probably
something
something he
he
was missing.
yeah, sure. And that's kind of what he was. It kind of seemed like he was kind of looking at those kids and thinking like, man, I never settled down. I never had a family. I just kept going and doing my thing, doing my Mandalorian thing,
Yeah,
doing
and
my
I think
bounty.
that's kind of why he was going to leave the child behind, is because he could see himself staying there,
Yeah,
but he knew he didn't fit in just because of his history, and so I don't think he would have left Grogu there if he didn't think he himself could have stayed.
sure.
And so he's kind of seeing himself saying, okay, well, this is kind of like a nice place to settle down.
How'd you
So
like how'd you like
see a
seeing
kid.
the ATS? How'd you like seeing the ATST,
Oh, dude, I love seeing the ATSD.
the
I kind of
chicken walker?
the chicken walker. Yes, I like the whole night aspect that they gave it with like the red lights inside, so it kind of gives that glow through the eyes. Looked a little
Yeah.
intimidating as it's just running
Oh
through
yeah.
the
No,
forest.
that
But you
was that was really that was really cool.
but you could tell they weren't very skilled with that thing.
No.
Not like a true pilot of the
Yeah.
Empire,
But it
but it
was
was
fun to
cool.
see. It was fun to see their little like they train the village. Um at first Mando wasn't really, or was it Cara Dune didn't really, she wasn't really they weren't really interested in training them, but they're like, we can learn to fight. He's like, well, it's just two of us, we can't take on this army of villagers, it's just me and Cara Dune. And they're like, well, there's 20 of us, we can help out. And so they agree to train them. And that was kind of fun. That was definitely like you mentioned before, it was like seeing a real life Clone Wars episode, that, like you said, that arc where Anakin and Ahsoka and all them teach the villagers to fight Hondo and the bounty hunter group that's going to come and harass them.
Yeah,
So that was fun to see. I love how they use that.
yeah, it's really cool to kind of to see the parallel that they did with that. It seems to be like a common aspect that Dave Filoni likes to revisit.
Yeah.
But I think
No,
he's
they're
used it at least 3 times.
yeah. No, definitely. No, it's they're always fun to see. They're always fun to see. But I don't mind revisiting like a live style version of a Clone Wars episode. I think it's awesome.
No,
Um,
absolutely not. Like I had a lot of fun with this episode, despite a lot of the complaints that people had with it. Um,
yeah,
I really did like the idea that they're kind of showing, okay, well, Mando's kind of thinking about hiding out over here, and he needs a little reprieve from all the about fighting and stuff that he's doing. Kind of taking up what's his name, Greek Karga's whole idea: go to the healing baths or go somewhere and just
oh, the
kind of just
Twi'lek.
relax.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Twi'lek baths.
and so
Twi'lek
this is
healing
his
baths.
chance to. So this is kind of like his chance to just kind of like settle down for a little bit
Yeah.
until the Kubaz bounty hunter shows up with that tracking fob.
I mean, like you said, it was a little bit of a quiet episode, but at the same time, it still had its action. It still had its fun. There was still a lot of things to look forward to. Cinematography again was great. It's kind of funny because of this season. I mean, I admit this is my least favorite of the 8 episodes of season one. But it's funny because Bryce Dallas Howard, as we know, directed this episode, and she directed my second favorite episode of season two, which was the third episode. Um, so, which is kind of funny. I remember when I saw that she was going to direct the third episode, I was like, I don't, I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean, I enjoyed the fourth episode, but it was my least favorite of season one. But then I saw the third episode of season two, and I was like, oh man, this is fan freaking tastic. So it's just whatever story they're given, they gotta develop it. She did an excellent job developing his character, and again, the cinematography, the shots, like for what she had, for what was going on, she knocked it out of the park. It was awesome.
True, very true.
I don't know. What
Um,
did you think about this episode in comparison? Do you have so far? of these 4 episodes that we've watched, do you have a favorite one? From if you could go from 1 to 4, what would you rank the episodes so far?
Ooh, that's kind of tough.
I'd probably say
I'd say
episode
3 would
three.
be my first one,
Yeah,
for
three
sure.
three would. Yeah, sorry, I'm doing you. I'm not doing me. Go.
Yeah, so I would start with episode 3.
Okay.
Then probably episode 1, then episode 2, then 4.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was gonna say. I episode 2 was kind of like episode 4, where it just kind of developed a little bit. It did slow down a little bit. It was just kind of fun, and you wanted him to. You're like, oh, come on, we want you to go back to the guild and take the asset and see all the drama that happens there, because he was starting to show that conscience within everything like that. But then he got stuck on Arvala 7 and had to deal with the Jawas. But it was just that was fun to see the Jawas, though, to just see, just kind of get to know him a little better. Actually, ride inside the Sandcrawler, and then this one was fun because we got to see more ATST action, and I don't know, I thought it was really cool. What does ATST stand for?
Uh,
Like
question.
all terrain something transport. I know it's all terrain armor transport for
Uh,
AT-AT.
all terrain scout transport.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah,
It's funny.
because
I have
it's a little bit smaller, so they
my
can
cross
move.
sessions book out here. I'm like looking for it, but it never showed up. I'm like, where the heck is this? So I know the AT is all terrain armor transport, and
Hmm.
so I assume ATST is all terrain something transport. Get it?
Yeah, all terrain scout transport, and I kind of remember back growing up with like the action figures and stuff. It was
Yeah.
called either a scout walker or as we
Chicken Walker.
the chicken walker. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So I agree with you, man. It's still a good episode. I think that's the thing with Mandalorian. And one thing I love about the show is there's no episode I think that sucks. I don't think this episode by any means sucked. It was just my least favorite so far.
Just
Um,
because of the pacing of it, and I think that's why a lot of
exactly.
people had some reserves about it, just
Yeah,
because of the
exactly.
pacing.
Well, it's because you get the first episode as the pilot, so you're all into it. It's something new. It's different. It's the first live action Star Wars episode, and it's obviously an awesome episode. Dave Filoni, I mean, can't go wrong. And then the second episode gets a little slower in the first episode, but it's still a lot of fun. And then the third episode is just kind of like that boom boom. This is your this is the peak right here. This is where this is where the fun begins. And
True,
then
very true.
but then episode 4 just kind of slows a bit. So I think it was just a different style. And again, this is the first live action Star Wars series we've seen. It was just kind of, even though it was a little bit slow, it's just fun to focus on the character a little bit. Just kind of calm down, take a breather, get to know him, see how he does with other characters, when there's not anything crazy going on, trying to kill each other, trying to get this asset. So, except until the end, of course, we got a bounty hunter show up and try to get Grogu, which made him realize, all
You
right,
can't stay there.
he can't stay here. He's got to move on. This isn't. This is the way. This is the way it is.
Yeah, and I for sure thought he was gonna take Cara Dune with him, but it never happened.
I totally thought he was going to take Carradine too. In
Because I
fact,
thought this was
another.
like the building of his team, but
Yeah,
as we find out, it's just kind of allies that kind of make appearances.
yeah. Well, he could build a team in the third season to help take back Mandalore, which would be really fun. It'd be fun if he goes back. And well, obviously he can't get Cara Dune now. They're going to have some.
Yeah,
He's going to go back to get Grief Karga, and he's going to be like, where's Cara Dune? You're like, oh, she is on vacation.
yeah. So
Or he
she
could
went back
just
to
say,
Sorgan.
yeah. I guess she's a marshal now, so she could just say, oh, okay, she, she's a
Yeah,
rank,
they can always just reference the character without actually showing
yeah,
them on screen
exactly.
and
Well,
say
then
like she got a promotion or
they'll,
or
they're gonna
some. They
CGI.
they
They're
can
gonna
always do
CGI.
something.
They'll do animate. They'll do the CGI.
But then they still got to pay her, I think, because she's still a living
Oh, you're
character.
right. Okay, they can't even
And
do
so
that.
I don't think Disney will want to do that because they don't want to have any ties to her.
Well, so they can do that. They can bring back. So they can recruit Grief Karga. They can recruit. That'd be cool if they can recruit. They can recruit Cobb Vanth.
Yeah.
So there's other characters, and then of course they could even get his love interest on Sorgan. That would be,
Oh yeah, there's
that
tons of
she can fight.
possibilities that they can do.
I'm saying that there's some crew that would actually be kind of fun if you recruit some type of crew and they build a team to help out Bo-Katan. get Mandalore back. But we'll see, man. There's a lot to look forward to. It's kind of a more things I'm actually looking forward to in season 3, honestly, now than going back and watching season 1 again. Things I didn't think
Yeah.
about, and arcs that can be revisited, So
Let me ask you this one question. Okay, so you
yeah.
had you had Mando talking to Omara
Uh-huh.
and Grogu sitting there playing, and then you got the Kobaz bounty hunters just kind of chilling in the forest. You see
Mm-hmm.
him get like the toll target, and then you heard the blaster go off. Did you actually think he shot at Grogu, or what were your
No,
thoughts on that?
like,
Like
do
the
I think
first
he
time you
got
saw it,
he? Like, you think did I think he got Grogu?
I don't. I mean, obviously we know he didn't, but like when you first heard it, what were your like thoughts? Like the first watch through.
I, the first time I definitely was like, oh crap, man. But I knew all in all, like, there's no way that they're gonna kill this guy off. Um, but it was still like one of those, like, kind of like tense moments where you're like, would they
Yeah,
do it? No, they're not gonna do that. Could they do it though? Like,
I
so
mean they could, but I was
yeah.
wondering if they're
Oh, they
gonna like
could.
maybe he misses and then the Mando's like does his thing. But I thought
Hmm.
it was kind of cool that Kara's just kind of like still got her instincts.
Yeah.
Because I mean, she mentioned she was just a shock trooper. Like most of the time, she was just like a special unit that was just dropped in. So
Yeah.
she's used to always being on alert. And so when I
Yeah.
heard the blaster go off, I'm like, oh no, I'm like,
Well, he
maybe
had
he
him on the
missed.
scope. He had him on the scope, and he basically, I mean, it. Yeah,
One of
I
the
don't
other
know. I
kids
don't
get
know.
hit.
Yeah. Well, because this was my second. This is only my second. Of all the Mandalorian episodes, I've only seen this one twice now. So I
I think
watched
this
it
was
when
my
it
third
first
time.
came out. Okay, so this is my second time actually watching it again, and so it was over a year ago when I first saw it. So I'm trying to remember exactly how it felt, but I do remember. I think I do remember wondering if they would actually uh, go that dark and let him kill him, the Kobaz. But yeah, no. So, but yeah, no, I don't know. It was a good ending. All in all, like, it was a another solid episode that did it definitely helped the story along and got you excited for what was going to be next, where they were going to take the story on the next adventure with Mando and the child. So, but
Yeah, actually, like I'm kind of a little fuzzy on the first season. I forget what the next episode, the one where he goes to the prison, or is it the episode after that?
no, the next episode is when he goes to Tatooine,
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
which it's a
Oh,
fun one.
that's right.
Definitely a filler one, but it's still fun and it still has arcs revisited in season 2 that are important.
Very
So
true.
that'll be a fun one that we can, obviously we'll save that discussion for the next one, but
Yeah,
I look
absolutely.
forward to
So
that one.
something to look forward to.
Yep, exactly. So
All right, guys. So that covers it for chapter 4 of season 1 of The Mandalorian. As always, guys, be sure to give us a like and comment below and tell us what you liked about this episode. Things you didn't like. We want to know what you think of The Mandalorian so far. So go ahead and have a discussion down below. Um, also, be sure to check out our links in the description where you can find us on Instagram, where we post news updates and some fun memes. Also, join our Discord where you can talk to other fans about the things you love. You can also talk to us about the episode. Like, we love talking Star Wars with you guys. We're getting a little bit of an active community there, so be sure to swing by and and say hi. Um, Also, down below we have a link to our merch store on Teespring, where you can check out some of our awesome designs. Um, Also, another note that I'd like to throw at you guys: we're going to be doing a giveaway soon, so be sure to keep checking back as we give more details. But let's say some Lego items will be on the chopping block for a giveaway. So check out our Instagram, check out our Discord, where we'll give more announcements on that. So this is Echo 2 out.
and this is Echo 5 out
May the force be with you.
always.